But don't scare Negroes today with no badge or no white skin or no white sheet or no white anything else. The police the same way. They put their club upside your head and then turn around and accuse you of attacking them. Every case of police brutality against a Negro follows the same pattern. They attack you, bust you all upside your mouth, and then take you to court and charge you with assault. What kind of democracy is that? What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this, and it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves. They attack the victim, and then the criminal who attacked the victim accuses the victim of attacking him. Yes, sir. This is American justice. Yes, sir. That's right. This is American democracy. Yes, and those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. Right. Now,
so this is just an observation from my experience, but every male that I have had the opportunity to speak with in reference to their relationship issues, dating issues, or whatever, every single one from the age of, I think the youngest was 18 or 19, all the way up to 62, each and every one of those men took personal responsibility for their own part in the havoc that they caused in their relationship. Every last one of them. Now, if you want to know how many that was, it was at least 102. 102. Every last one of them. Now, they might not have done it right away in their relationships, but when they spoke to me and when we had our conversations, they took responsibility for their bullshit.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love a woman.
We are the Muslim wing of the black grassroots. Unapologetic, strong, uncompromising voices that have been in the faces of the enemy and those who tap dance for them. The Feachaz is proud to present the archives exclusively on Patreon.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. I want to say alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Sek for press, hayakum Allah. And of course, we got another hot one. This topic I wanted to talk about weeks ago, but as you guys know, I've been having some issues, YouTube hating on me and stuff like that, giving me strikes and stuff. Okay, right? Handing down the strikes, laying down the hammer on your brother, right? So now we are talking about this in light of Kyrie Irving and what has happened to him in the NBA with regard to the Hebrew Israelites and the reaction that some of the Muslims had towards this. In my opinion, it was not appropriate. Let's leave it at that. It was not appropriate at all, considering the landscape of what the actual reality of was going on at the time. The reaction of some, particularly Salafis, was atypical, not appropriate, and just embarrassing. Look, let's call it what it was. You know, Kyrie Irving, you know, all the black community united behind Kyrie Irving. Why the Salafis got to be the only ones refuting him? Why? Why the Salafis, out of all the people, got to be the only people refuting Kyrie Irving when, you know, so many people were backing him? You get me? So, like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Let's get into it, okay? Family, when you look at what young black boys aspire to be, compare that with every other people group, and you have to ask yourself, why is it that young black boys aspire to be a certain type of a thing that no other young boys are aspiring to be? Okay? Why is it so desired, for example, for young black boys to aspire to become rappers or athletes or ballers or things of this nature? Okay? Then when you look at the groups that are reaching out to these young black boys and telling them something different, but not just telling them, but showing them as well. Do you know who you do not see? Who you do not see in this reaching out to just young black boys in the community? Who do we not see? We don't see Salafis. We are the ones with the truth from Allah himself. We are the ones with the message of the truth, you know, from the Quran and the Sunnah and the understanding of the Salaf. At least we claim to have it, right? However, we are the last to do anything resembling outreach. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Tika. Hayakumullah. And the ones that do are involved in outreach, you know, from the Salafis who are involved in outreach in terms of going out to this prison systems and youth programs and whatnot. They really get little to no support from the wider Salafi community. Their support comes from other communities, but not so much from the Salafis. But the first ones to always start a refutation against the people in which they have no history of outreach with just happen to be the Salafis. So what do you think you look like when you do that? Have you called these people to Allah? Have you established a footprint in your community so that they can come to, you know, talk to you in your community? Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Iman. Hayakumullah. Have you done any of this? But why is it that when things trigger you, okay, let's put it that way, that you are the first to talk about people that you haven't even, called to Tawheed with. And I don't believe this is an accident as well. We talked about this many times, that it wasn't like that in the early days. In the early days of Salafia, it was about Dawa. Excuse me. In the early days, it was about Dawa. And then it switched from Dawa to the refutation culture. Everybody got to get refuted. Everybody got to get refuted. Everybody got to get refuted. So where are your new Muslim accommodations for those who get kicked out their homes? Okay? Or those who are leaving prison? Okay? Where are your marriage programs? So you don't lead with the calling to Allah. You lead with a refutation. And you expect people whom you're refuting, mind you, to accept Islam. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Bilal. You expect the same people that you were refuting to accept Islam. Is this how Allah ordered the people to make dawah? That you refute them first, right? You talk bad about them, you talk down to them. The same people that you're in that community, you don't have no kind words for them. The first thing out of your mouth, you have to refute them. You must refute them. Okay? Let me ask y'all something. How many of y'all became Sufi because of refutations against Salafis? Any of y'all? And y'all become Sufi because the Sufis refuted you so badly that you said, okay, I got to become a Sufi now? The Sufi refutations against you, did they increase you in love for Sufis, or did they increase you in enmity? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Somebody put it in the chat. In my day, I've seen a lot of refutations, a lot against Salafis, a lot against Sufis, right? I know the difference between a good refutation and a bad refutation and whatnot. Seen a lot. But one thing that I haven't seen is somebody increase in love because of a refutation. I haven't seen that. I have not seen that. Okay? So, in Islam, the origin of affairs is calling to people to Allah first. That's the first thing you're supposed to be doing. The Prophet ﷺ, when he ordered the Sahaba to make dawah, he said the first thing that you're supposed to do is call them to the worship of Allah first. And if they accept that, then we oblige them to the salah. So what do you look like when something is happening in the public eye that is exposing a culture of oppression against Black people? All Black people, pretty much came in support of Kyrie Irving. But the only thing that y'all talking about is the fact that he shared, what's the movie called again? Negroes to Hebrews, this Hebrew Israelite thing, right? That's the only thing that y'all can talk about. Why is he sharing this Hebrew Israelite thing? Brother became Muslim 2 years ago. Brand new Muslim. What does he know? What does he know? So you, by and large, are the cause of the decay and the disdain that people now have for Salafis. Because you don't lead with the truth. You don't lead with correction. You lead with vitriol and hatred. And you expect people to take you seriously when you don't have any footprint at all of outreach within the community itself. No visible footprint, period. When people look in the community, they'll see the Hebrew Israelites. They'll see the nation, but they don't see you. They do not see you. They do not see you. But you're quick to criticize. What do you think you look like at that point? You look like a hater, right? You gotta be a hater. You gotta be a hater. And you do an incredible disservice for people who are trying to make Dawa to these guys. You know, the Hebrew Israelites, they started in the late 1800s, right? And they're kind of like a hybrid between Christians and Jews. You know what I mean? It's kind of a hybrid like that, right? So started in the late 1800s, kind of a hybrid, and they have many, many, many different groups. Some of these groups are in Israel right now, right? Being about to be deported, you know, from Israel back to the States because they're black, of course, right? The ones that you see on YouTube right now, they're the ones with the purple and gold outfits, whatever. But they have so many different ones. But probably, in my opinion, the most infamous, no, the late 1800s, not the 1980s, the late 1800s. The Hebrew Israelites started in the late 1800s, even before, I believe, before even Noble Drew Ali. Okay. So anyways, the most infamous out of them is an individual by the name of Yahweh ben Yahweh. Do you guys know who Yahweh ben Yahweh is? Do you guys know who he is? Yahweh ben Yahweh? Yes or no? Just yes or no in the chat if you know who Yahweh ben Yahweh is. Do you know who Yahweh ben Yahweh is? Yes or no in the chat. If you don't know who he is, look up this guy. He is the one who is probably the most famous out of the Hebrew Israelites. Yes, he's in jail. He's in jail. Okay. And why was he famous? Okay. He was a Hebrew Israelite. He was one of the top Hebrew Israelites, top heads. But he really exposed by himself like the cultishness of the Hebrew Israelites. Because really, if you look at them, they were basically disorganized and whatnot before he came along. And he rallied almost, I think, 5,000 people in his particular group of the Hebrew Israelites into a solid political, powerful entity. Okay? These guys had political clout. They were organized. They had a community. They had land. They had everything. Okay? They had everything. And the style that these guys in the purple and gold suits that you see on the streets and whatnot is the same style that he used to do. Exactly the same. Where they would have the main speaker, and then he would tell his student to read some verse from the Bible somewhere, and the student would read it, and then he would explain it, because it's all theatrics, right? It's all theatrics. You get me? So it's all like a method of recruitment. You get me? So he was put in jail for murder. Okay? He was put in jail for murder. You know, he killed some people in his cult or whatever, right? But These people, the modern day Israelites I see with the purple and gold, they just happen to be the biggest offshoot right now. Okay, and really they're not so much, like when people will naturally see, if they stay with them sometime, that's very cultish. They will see that naturally because they don't really do much. But the reason why people are attracted to them is because they're out in the community. You get me? They're out in the community. That's it. It's just like the nation. The nation is much more organized. They do many more programs. Okay. They have, a lot of stability, even though they're not as old as the Hebrew Israelites. Okay. And a lot of respect in the wider Black community because of all the programs that they do. If you look at the members, how many lives that they have changed from people in prison and things of this nature, right? It's not possible to discount the work that they do. It's not possible. The other day, I was on Facebook, right? And now there's just what you got to understand about the nation too. The nation today is not the nation at the time of Elijah Muhammad, okay? It's not the nation of the time of Elijah. It's not even the nation at the time of Malcolm X. It's not the nation today is not even the time. Farrakhan today is not the Farrakhan of the 80s or the 90s, mind you. Okay? Completely different Farrakhan, okay? Even the nation right now, they themselves, their Akida is so jacked up that they themselves, within that group, they don't know what to believe. You understand? They themselves don't know what to believe. So you will find some people in the nation today, they're in the same nation. They don't like Farrakhan. They can't stand Farrakhan. And they're in the nation. You'll also find people who are just absolute blind followers of Farrakhan. You'll find people in the nation who don't believe that Master Farad Muhammad is Allah in person. And you'll find people in the nation, not only do they believe that Master Farad Muhammad is Allah in person, but they worship Master Farad Muhammad. They worship him like he's Allah, okay? All of this is happening in the nation right now. Let me ask y'all something. Are any of you under threat of worshiping Master Farad Muhammad as Allah in person? Put in the chat, please, yes or no. Put in the chat, please. There are people in the nation right now, they're in the nation, and they are worshiping. This didn't happen in the time of Elijah Muhammad, mind you. The people at the time of Elijah Muhammad, they weren't worshiping Master Farad Muhammad as Allah, as this is happening now. How many of you are thinking about worshiping Master Farad Muhammad as Allah in person? Are any of you thinking about that? Yes or no? Put it in the chat, please. Put it in the chat. Who in here is thinking about worshiping Master Farad Muhammad as Allah in person? Who in here believes that Elijah Muhammad is the messenger of Allah? Any of you believe that? Okay, so it's all no's. And I want you to think about the psyche of the person that has reached the point that they can actually believe that Master Farad Muhammad is Allah in person. Like, no, not just a belief, but worship him. Worship him as Allah. That is somebody who is You can say clearly, very clearly misguided, doing something that even Elijah Muhammad himself didn't do, okay? Nor Malcolm X, nor even Louis Farrakhan, okay? If you listen to Louis Farrakhan, right, he rarely focuses on Farad Muhammad, like rarely. I've listened to many of his speeches. I can't even recall him mentioning Farad Muhammad ever. But he always talks about Elijah Muhammad. Elijah, my teacher, all the time, okay? And the way he talks about him now is not the same way that he talked about him in the 90s, nor is it the same way that he talked about him in the 80s. You get me? So you as a Muslim, when you hear this, do you need to go out and refute somebody who's saying Farad Muhammad is Allah in person? Does that necessitate a refutation from you? You're not under threat of worshiping Farad Muhammad as Allah in person. Or when you hear somebody saying that, are you supposed to treat them like you treat the Christians, like you treat the people who are worshiping other than Allah, and make dawah to them? Which makes more sense? Which makes more sense? Just imagine now, some of y'all, your parents are Christians. Would you talk to your parents the same way that you would talk to somebody from the nation? Would you talk to them the same way like that? You know you wouldn't. You want your parents to become Muslim, correct? So why don't you show that same care for your own people? But the reason why you do that is because you've been trained to hate your people. You have been trained to hate your people and to speak down to your own people. And you are the first people to speak down to your own people instead of calling them to the truth with concern and care. What do you mean, Bilal? That's what I mean. You guys read the Quran, I'm assuming. Okay? Alhamdulillah, right? From your opinions, right? Which prophet in the Quran had the worst people? Put them in the chat, please. Which prophet in the Quran had the worst people? Put it in the chat. Which prophet in the Quran had the worst people? We have a couple here. Lut. We have Ibrahim. Keep putting it in the chat. Lut. I agree, Lut. I agree, Lut, in my opinion as well. Lut, alayhi salam, he had the worst people. He had the worst people. Okay? How did Lut talk to his people? Did he talk to his people the way that you talk to your people? And he had the worst people. Are you going to sit here and tell me We all agree that Lut had the worst people. The worst. The way that Lut talked to his people with concern, with mercy. Don't do this action that you guys are doing. Even take my daughters, it's better for you. Lut is saying that. Can you guys say that to your people? Are you going to sit here and tell me that the nation, that the Hebrew Israelites are worse than the people of Lut? Is that what you're going to tell me? And the way that Allah destroyed these people? Is this what you're going to tell me? This is what you're going to tell me? So every other people group can have mercy for their own people. But when it comes to your people, you have to hate your people like every other people group hates their people, hates your people. We didn't have this issue with the nation until about the early 2000s and stuff. We didn't have this issue. I would say around the early 2000s, that's when these problems started, or after the Million Man March and stuff. You get me? But you guys, you don't call your own people to Allah to begin with. Can you imagine somebody is saying that Master Farad Muhammad is Allah in person? Your knee-jerk reaction is to start a refutation. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? How easy is it to call somebody like this to Allah if they have the Quran already? Brother, come, let's look at the Quran together. It's very obvious they're not reading the Quran. They might not listen to you the first time, the second time. They might argue and yell at you, but this is Dawa. This is Dawa. But what you guys want to do is you want to do something which is probably low-key haram anyways. When Allah said in the Quran, do not insult their gods lest they insult Allah out of ignorance. That's what you guys do. That's what you guys do. Just ask them some basic questions. Are you going to sit here and tell me that Master Farad Muhammad, he's the creator of the heavens and the earth? He created the skies. He created the stars. You can sit here and tell me that he created his own mother and his own father before he was born? All right? Ask him some basic Tawheed questions. Some small questions. Let them think a little bit. How difficult is to refute Master Farad Muhammad isn't Allah? Like, do you really need to write a refutation about that? Like, seriously? As a Muslim right now, okay? As a Muslim right now, do you really need to write a refutation on Krishna and whatchamacallit? What are these Hindu guys and stuff, right? All these Hindu guys, you need to write a refutation on them not being God. Like, is that necessary? You already know they're not God. Those people are trying to say that these things are gods. They're the ones who have to prove that. You don't have to prove anything, but you can call them to the truth. You can call them to the truth. So we have this situation now on the internet, for example, where Diobendis, of all people, Diobendis are being defended by people who have nothing to do with Diobendis. Diobendis, okay? All over the internet. But you can't even call your own people to Tawheed. As a matter of fact, what you do is if anybody gives any of these groups anything that resembles respect, your reaction is to refute them and still do nothing. Still sit down and do absolutely nothing in terms of outreach, but you're right there for a refutation. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody make it make sense. Are your people worse than Common Lut? Do you think that the nation's worse than Common Lut? Do you think that these Hebrew Israelites are worse than Common Lut? Have you engaged them in any type of thing resembling a discussion at all? You don't? Have you taken them aside, but beyond all the theatrics and stuff like that? Private conversation or whatnot? Have you done any of this? But you're very brave to make long, and all these black people are looking at you like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Because you have to be right. You must be right because you're Salafi, right? Is this the Dawa of the Salaf? Okay, you were Salafi now. Is this how the Salaf took care of things? Is this how they did things? They don't make Dawa to their own people, but they spend a lot of time refuting them. So all of that, my humble opinion, that all of that is lame. It's real lame. I've spoken to Hebrew Israelite. I see them as just another sect from among the people of the book. Yeah, I mean, there are many, even amongst the Hebrew Israelites, there are many sects from within themselves, okay? And they are quite cultish, to be quite honest, right? But they all have similarities. They quote the Bible a lot. They believe that they are the chosen people. They believe that. Okay? They believe that black people are the chosen people. They believe that they are the lost tribe of Israel. And they believe that Jesus is coming back for them. So they're kind of like a hybrid of Jews and Christians, really. You know what I mean? But even them, if you just ask them some basic questions, because they're always quoting the Bible, right? And you ask them, okay, well, which Bible are you quoting? You're saying they're always gonna tell you the King James version. That's the only one that they use. They don't use anything else. They believe all the other versions are wrong. And you ask them some basic questions. Okay, well, the King James, right? The King James version. They don't know the history of that stuff. I'm telling you, they don't know the history of that stuff. They don't know that, there was an English translation before the King James version. I can't remember the name of it, right? And that King James, who ordered this translation, there were so many mistakes in it that he had to order several other translations. And on top of that, it's written in English. We know Jesus didn't speak in English. And Jesus ain't even a real name of Jesus anyways. It's just some basic questions, you know what I mean? But it doesn't necessitate that you're going to refute Kyrie Irving over him sharing. Like, come on, man. Let's have some decorum here. You know what I mean? Like, what is staying on code? What is staying on code? You make the Muslims look very bad. Salaam Alaikum. They over in Brooklyn. They love you as a white boy. They love you as a white boy. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. right? And they say these new the new ones with the purple and the gold. These are really new guys, right? They're not like, well, they're like the up and comers, right? These guys right here, they say some of the most outlandish things, man. Some crazy things, right? They say some really crazy things, right? So it really, there's certain people that they don't really necessitate a refutation, like these people who are doing this Indian stuff, like all black people are the native Indians and stuff like that. Even me, I wasn't gonna refute them because they're just too ridiculous. They're just too dumb. All right, that's how I felt about them. To give them attention would make me look crazy because they're crazy, right? Anybody that joins them is just retarded, in my humble opinion. They're just dumb. Okay, these native Indian type people. Okay, but as you know, some from the Muslims, they joined them, right? We left that crap alone, right? It wasn't until a brother that I know shared with me a ridiculous PDF. It was so dumb that I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. I gotta do a refutation. And I did. I put out exactly where this group came from, the origins of this group, right? How this rhetoric started, who it came from, why it's dumb, how they just lie and embellish, and they use Photoshop pictures to prove a point. And they're trying to get black folk to buy their Native American cards and stuff. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You get me? Do you think they are put to divest from Pan-Africanism? No, they were they came around the same time as the Pan-Africanists. But they are, I mean, like I said, there are many different groups within the Hebrew Israelites, but if you look at them, they don't really do much. They don't do much. They go out on the streets. They call the people to their group, right? They say that black people are the original Hebrews and Jews and everything. And all of that is true anyways. Like, it's like, okay, yes, we know this. If you look on Google right now, right, and you just type in Semitic tribes in Google, you're gonna see nothing but black people. Like, literally nothing but black people. Okay, do it right now if you don't believe me. Just type in Semitic tribes in Israel. But all these Semitic tribes that you're going to see after you Google have nothing to do with the transatlantic slave trade as well, right? So it's like, they ain't got nothing to do with you. You can't tell me all these millions of black folk over here in the lost tribe of Israel. Come on, man. Get a grip, the whatchamacallit, the West Africans during the times of slavery, they were either Muslim or they were like these African tribal religions. You get me? But they weren't Christian. There's a small, very tiny portion of Jews, but I don't think those Jews were enslaved. The main issue with their sect is that they're stuck on the King James Version. Another translation of the Bible. It's been quite difficult to have a career discussion with them. They don't believe in this. So, well, again, if they're on the streets, you're not supposed to have a conversation with them. They have a gimmick. You get me? So they will hold the karaoke machine mic. They're controlling it. So it's all smoke and mirrors. So it looks like they know what they're saying because they're holding the mic and they know which verses to quote and everything like that. They have a whole script and everything like that. And they really don't try to stray from the script. So when you come, you don't know what they're really about. They'll make you look silly because they're sticking to the script. But you have to ask them what they believe. That's the key. Ask them what do you really like? What's the core of your belief? And they don't have much, that black people are the chosen people of Israel. Okay, well, what does that mean? You know, so you don't go to them out in public and try to debate them in public like that because of that type of showmanship that they have. They're going to put that on their YouTube channel and clip it for more recruitment of, you know, black people who really don't read, okay, who are looking for who they are, right, who are trying to find out who they are because, you know, black people really don't know who they are. And they're going to see that and they're going to be intrigued by it for recruitment. Do you get me? But outside of that, they don't really do much. The only person that I know of that actually did some stuff was the individual we mentioned, Yahweh Ben Yahweh. He actually had land, businesses, schools, you name it, a political power, because he made sure that everybody in his particular group was on code. Right? Yes, they are. Yes, they are right that there are Semitic tribes. But as you're saying, there are also transatlantic slave trade, which mix up even more peoples with different religious backgrounds. Yeah, I mean, transatlantic slaves, the West Africans they were the ones who were enslaved, not the East Africans, right? Not the East Africans. You get me? If you look up Semitic tribes, you're going to see all this. It's like the vast majority are black people. Put it that way. Not even close. It's all black people, right now. But it's all East Africans at the same time. It's not the West Africans. All black people. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Brother Seema.
Yeah, the conversations I had with them, you know, they'll try to make some connections, you know, between like certain West African people, like the Khan, and you know, they'll point to certain things that was similar, but they'll say they lost it, you know, through the 10 lost tribes of Israel, like they lost it, and you know, they start taking the ways of the heathens. You know, they'll quote certain Bible verses, but you know, as you said, there are many groups amongst them. Like some of them believe, like like the Nation of Islam. I think the guy you mentioned, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, he was a member of the NOI.
Yeah.
At first,
he really believed that the white man is the devil, like
yeah. So a lot of them have those beliefs, but they call him like Esau, you know, the brother of Ishaq. No, Yaqub's brother in the Bible. So they, you know, that's what they call the white man, like Esau. Some of them don't believe that though. They'll say like, you know, Esau was not white because the same word is used for the Dawood in Hebrew, you know. So some of them don't believe like Africans are like the chosen people. It's just like us and people like Caribbeans. Others might accept them. Some believe like the Christians in the Trinity. Some believe that they deny Esau, like the Jews. So they kind of like a mixture. It depends on like what sect you're like talking to. But you know, the thing that get me when you was mentioning, you know, that certain black Muslims, Salafis, those who call themselves Salafi, they want to be hard on their people. But I've spoken to Muslims. Like one of my teachers, he was what you describe as a Salafi, and he was from Iraq. And he told me like his mother used to go to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his grave, and like ask for stuff. But he never called his mother a kafir. You see what I'm saying? Like, people like that, they'll just say like, they'll make excuses like they don't know, or they interpret, they do tawil of this verse, and that sort of thing. Like they don't call people like kuffar. Like they'll say in general, like these people are kafir, but when it comes to like individuals, like it's just like totally different.
Yeah, this type of language is something that is exclusive for black people. Right, even you have these Muslims, they will defend, grave worshipers, saying that the grave worshipers they're not kuffar because they're not worshiping the person in the grave, believing that person is Allah and these type of things. Right, they will defend that, even though it's clear cut shirk. It's like shirk. It's like what are you talking about? Like if you come from a non-Muslim background. Right? Even if you are a non-Muslim, and if you see somebody worshiping at a grave, if you're a Christian and you see somebody bowing down, and worshiping in a grave, what is the Christian going to call that person?
Yeah, no doubt. And they'll call him an idolater.
Thank you. A Christian is going to say that, okay? As a Christian, they're going to call them idolater. You know what I mean? But you mean to tell me that me as a Muslim, coming from a Christian and a Muslim, I can't call these people idolater? And they don't. But they are very quick, very, very quick to order you to not just call, nation and them. And they're not Muslim. We agree they are not Muslim. Okay? We have no problem saying that they're not Muslim. But they want you to hate them. They want you to despise them. You get me?
Yes. Instead of like trying to, have dialogue and call them.
Exactly. They don't want us to have a relationship with our own people like they have relationships with their people. You get it?
Yeah, I even met like Salafis, bro. Like they'll say like, Ben Baz, Uthaymeen, they'll name these people and say, well, if the person don't know, you have to establish the hujjah. Don't just call them kafir. Like, because some of these people, they was taught believing that, and they think they're not. The action is kufr. You say the action is kufr, not that the person is a kafir because, the hujjah might not have been established on, or they didn't understand.
Okay, so if you're going to take that position, you have to be consistent.
That's the whole point.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. So
he was consistent. He was consistent in that position.
That's what I'm saying, right? Though. They'll take that position too, but then when it comes to your people, they'll deny that because they'll say
and we have more rights. We have more right to be given excuses than anybody else on earth. Islam just came to us like yesterday. You're talking about people who have centuries of scholarship and they're still worshiping a grace. But even like you was mentioning Kyrie Irving,
how they come on him. Like, this is a guy that just converted, last year.
Yeah.
But you make excuses for your people who was born into Muslim societies. Like, they don't really make sense. It seems like they should be given the less excuse if you want to play that game.
Exactly.
They came up a lot. It's easier for them to go around and find the truth. But
and it is easier for them to go and find the truth if they wanted it. Because they have the resources. Do we have the resources here?
No.
We are still literally coming into our own as Muslims in the West. Right? We had to deal with these double colonizers, right? First of all. And then we had to deal with the foreigners coming out and telling us that Malcolm X wasn't no Muslim. And then we had to deal with Salafia being co-opted by foreigners. And
check out the new game that they're playing on us. Yeah. And I think this is more directed towards, so-called black, Muslims here in the West. Now, this particular group, this sect from among the Salafis, their main thing is don't disrespect the rulers. This would be like, make you like a Khawarij, or this is a bid'ah. Like, you're supposed to just kind of go along.
That really is not new. That is not new. And to be honest, there is a confusion between particularly those Muslims who want to criticize the rulers, that they are confused between the difference between dissent and being disloyal. Okay, particularly those ones. Now, the Salafis, some of them are taking this position that you cannot criticize the Muslim rulers at all, like period, right?
Right.
Which is from the book Sharh Sunnah of Imam Barbahari. This is where they get this from, right? Imam Barbahari's book, right? So that book right there, right? Anybody who studied it, they'll take this very soft, lenient position towards the Muslim rulers, right? However, at the same time, you have these other group, all they do from the comfort of their own homes, and I was talking to a brother about this today actually, from the comfort of their own homes, they want to make it obligatory for you to speak against the Muslim rulers. They want to make it like a part of the religion to speak against the Muslim rulers. Meanwhile, they are sitting under the protection of Kafir rulers.
Right.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I think you got to find the middle way. But I didn't even heard some of them say.
You have to
I
find
heard some of them say, but I heard some of them say like don't even connect like the rulers that they don't even consider Muslims. They don't think it's like basically permissible for you to even speak about those. I never used to hear them like bring that issue to the forefront though. That's what I mean by like you. Now I hear them talk about that like a lot. Like in the West.
Well here's
Dawa, they didn't speak about that.
Here's the issue. Okay, here's the issue. The way that it's being presented to the people, right? It's being presented in a very sensational manner, and it shouldn't be done that way at all, right? It should be done in a simplistic way where you have your delil and things of this nature. Okay, criticism of the rulers is meant for who? Is it for every Tom, Dick, and Harry to go and criticize the rulers?
Nope.
No, who is it meant for?
I don't know. I guess those with knowledge of it. But
Of course.
Bro, like my problem with them was like certain things, like you even showed that they just had a big discussion. I think they was upset even with their boy Daniel, because it's based on like, a lot of people been talking, criticizing the government about Halloween. Mm-hmm. The Saudi government about them allowing Halloween, like this is kufr, this sort of thing. So,
any of those people who criticized the Saudi government for Halloween, those people are one of two things: either they're incredibly ignorant, or they're just hypocrites. Because we put a video out about that already.
Right.
We put a video out on about that.
Halloween, I didn't think it was right for them to try to like tell people to shut up about that. Don't criticize. Like, I mean, like this is kind of like known by necessity, pretty much.
I don't know any Salafi that said don't talk about that. This is a lie that people say against Salafis, right? I don't know. It's even Sheikh Abu Osama, he spoke about it.
But they were like, don't. But you like people like Abdul Kareem, he was just saying like, and when they had the conference with Daniel, that's what they were saying. Like, you can criticize this, but don't mention the government.
Kareem Abu Zayd, in my opinion, he's a waffler. He's not trustworthy. I've always said that this guy is shady. I said it long before even the AIM conference. I said this man is shady, right? But him outside the equation. The reason why I said that is because Egypt's been practicing Halloween for years. Pakistan has been practicing Halloween for years. Turkey's been practicing Halloween for years. All these Muslim countries been practicing Halloween for years. And the last holdout, which happens to be Saudi Arabia, when they start practicing what every other country has already been practicing, now it's a problem. Where were you with all your bravado when Egypt was doing it, when Pakistan was doing it, when Tunisia was doing it, when Algeria was doing? Where were you when where were you in all your concern for the ummah? Where were you then? Now Saudi is doing it. All of a sudden, it's a problem. This is hypocrisy, Aki. This hypocrisy.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair though, most of the Muslims I had spoke with, like they to be honest, most of the Muslims I spoke with, they never considered these governments or these rulers to be Muslim. To be honest, like the Mubarak, Sisi,
No, what it is that there is this culture, right? And ever since I became Muslim, that Saudi can never ever do no right. So anything that Saudi does must be criticized. So these people who are talking about criticizing the rulers, they don't mean criticize the rulers, they mean criticize Saudi. You get it?
Yeah, okay.
That's their whole deen. And if you don't criticize Saudi, if you don't call them bootlickers, like they're calling them bootlickers, then you're a bootlicker. That's their religion. And so you can see their wala wa bara taking place. What is their wala bara? The enemy of my enemy. So now you have
Muhammad Hijab, who sided with Jordan Peterson after the Muslims came out against him. Now he's flip-flopping and trying to say, oh, Jordan Peterson portrayed us. And who is he inviting into the circle now? Daniel Hakikuchi. Right? Why? Because the enemy of my enemy.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah,
I thought
if
that was
me and
weird
you
too.
don't like spubs and the medicalese or whatever, we can be friends, no problem. You get it? That's the game, bro.
Yeah,
right? So if
to be honest, I never thought much of any of these rulers or like these sects.
Because
it's like
all
real
of them,
cases.
every last ruler in modern times is a Muslim ruler, not because of the Muslims, but because of the kuffar.
Exactly.
Not every Muslim ruler in a Muslim country is placed there by Western colonial powers. The Muslims put them there. The white European gave you your rulers. They were the ones who divvied up your countries. So what do you look like going to the puppet master's country, living under the puppet master's protection, and pointing your fingers at the puppet? You know what you look like to me? A puppet. That's what you look like. You're just another puppet. You were living in the puppet master's country, you know, have all the most heat and work for Muslim rulers who are put there by your zaddy, who you don't say anything about because your visa might be at risk.
Yeah, nothing. It's funny that you brought up the Jordan Peterson thing. As soon as he went and did a video with Netanyahu, all of a sudden, like, he betrayed you. He been telling you this was
exactly.
He didn't betray you. He's always been clear, like, his support for him. And you go out of your way to talk about you don't believe in reparations, trying to, you know, cozy up to him, and like, it's ridiculous, man. And
these are the people who want to call us medicalies and stuff and bootlickers. These people. Are you kidding me right now? Are we inviting Jordan Peterson to the Muslims? Is that us?
Yeah, like you say, like, you know, most of us with common sense, we already know about the rulers. To me, that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is, like, I think the rulers are just a reflection of the people. Look at how all these so-called sects act. You got, you know, different you know, sects within, like, the Salafis, and every other sect. Look how we act, you know, and you disagree with this one, all of a sudden he's off the minhaj. Let's refute this one. You know, he's a person of bid'ah, and, you know, come on, man, it's like ridiculous. It gets a bit redundant. So I kind of like tuned out on the whole Dawa scene like a while ago. I got tired of hearing it. That's all they talk about. This one, that's the whole Dawa, bro. Like, this one you was cool with not too long ago. Now he's off the minhaj. He's this and that. That's all they do. Like, they can't even get along, and they're like some of the most, like, the reason why a lot of people are turned off from Salafia now. These are some of the most harshest people towards one another, and this was not the Prophet's character.
No, it's not. It's not. And that stuff is imported again as usual. It wasn't in the Dawa in the early days. That stuff got imported by outsiders.
Yeah, matter of fact, Allah tells the Rasul that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you was harsh with them, you see, he tells the Prophet that, but they do like the opposite. They're like so harsh on, like, you know, other people. And the crazy part to me, like, their Aqidah is basically the same. It's the same. Yeah. But they have all this, like, smoke for each other, like, you know, vitriol. Like, it's gonna turn you off. The thing I say, bro, it's a good thing that a lot of the black Muslims learned about Islam before they got to know Muslims.
Yeah, that is a fact.
You see what a lot of these people are doing? Like, they call themselves doing Dawa. I believe they're turning off a lot of people.
Believe me, if we had to wait for Muslims to give us Islam, bro, we would still be waiting, bro. Straight up. They are here, you know, basically trying to fit in with Zaddy. That's their whole thing. Their whole thing is trying to fit in with Zaddy. 30 solid years of Eastern Muslims siding with liberals. 30 straight solid years. In the khutbah, they are talking about the democratic process all the way up until this day. Sheikh Haytham Haddad, it is wajib, it is obligatory for you to vote. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Can you imagine? And then here we are, black folk, we're telling you straight up about this process, how devilish it is. It's a scam, it's a farce, and if you're going to play in it, you better play proper. They don't want to listen to us. They want to tell us how we should treat each other. Make sure that you protect these poor, these poor colonizers at the expense of the nation, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially in this country, like the democratic process is a joke. Unless you're gonna do like what the Jews do, and buy politicians, establish you some sort of lobby and like buy them.
Yeah, that's exactly how you have to play politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the only way you're gonna get anything done. But these guys, what they want to do, they are about their visas and their green cards or whatever, right? So they are very willing, to turn the Muslims into liberals as opposed to turning the liberals into Muslims. And now it's very simple for a person like Daniel Hakikatru, right? After 30 solid years of Muslims siding with the Liberal Party to come in and not only, be the Pied Piper for the alt-right, but everything alt-right, like everything right down to white supremacy is Islamic now.
Yeah. I didn't feel sorry for him when they turned on him either. To me, they was pretty much the same. Like,
Well, to be honest, we've been calling them out for a long time for that. We've been calling out Salafis for a long time for that. And you reap what you sow. I don't feel sorry for any of them. Period. Right? And it's like who couldn't predict that the Go Along to Get Along gang on YouTube wouldn't pick up Daniel Hakikatru? Who couldn't predict that? Yeah, come on, man. You have to be a damn fool to think that this dude who really has been saying the same thing from day one, and the Salafis propped him out at the expense of black people, mind you. They knew what he was. And now he's just saying what he always believed at your so-called Salafi conference. And now is the time to disassociate yourself from him after you were warned very clearly, very, very, very clearly. The black grassroots sent you a petition and you wiped your ass with it.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why they have a problem with him saying what he's saying, because a lot of them, I suspect, have the same type of views.
Yeah, of course they do.
To us, so they didn't have a problem with it.
So what is that telling you, black people, what you should be doing? Should you be playing and messing around with these people? They have shown you who they are. They have shown you who they are. You out here trying to beg people to be your brothers who don't want to be your brothers.
Yeah, that one brother you showed, I had seen him a couple times. I never listened to him either. He seemed like he was trying to be like somebody else, like he thinks he's an Arab or something. Like he speaks like in English, but then he speaks with like an Arab accent. To be honest, I could never really rock with him. The Green brother, what's his name? Something Green.
Oh, Colin Green.
Yeah, like I was like, man, this dude thinks he's like an Arab or something, man. He's speaking in English and he got the little Arab accent going. I'm like, this guy that went over there, like, what's the purpose of you going to study in Medina University or in Riyadh somewhere, and you learn the language, and then you just come home, you're like a robot.
Yeah.
You only like parrot exactly what you heard them say. Like, you can't think for yourself. Like, that's not even an education. You just went over there and then you call them every time there's a problem, and you can't think for yourself, or you're afraid to disagree. And even the Sahaba disagree, but he's gonna say whatever they say.
Yeah,
that's gonna be his line. So like, I don't like trust people like that. Like, Allah has blessed you to go over there and get the knowledge, but you think like I have to agree with everything they say, everything. So, like, you know,
but not only
that's
that,
what's wrong, brother.
It's one thing. It's one thing if you're a bot, and he is a bot. He is a bot. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what a lot of them are.
You know, but it's another thing to have this self-hatred, right? And then not mention, you know, what happened in Egypt, not mention what happened in Yemen, not mention what happened in Syria, mention slavery, mention Martin Luther King, mention Malcolm X, and say that we are Muslims, we don't do that no more.
Because he wants to be like them. That's what they taught him.
Yeah. But we as Black people, we shouldn't be surprised. We should not be surprised. Okay? We as Black people, we've been in the belly of Babylon for the better part of 400 plus years. We've seen how the enemy works. We've seen how everybody will do anything for the enemy at our detriment. Okay? We've seen all that. And we've seen the amount of coons and shines and sellouts. And not only that, the manufacturing of sellouts from the enemy in our community, putting people who are not our leaders as leaders for us. We've seen all of this. Why are we surprised?
Bro, like, I seen that from a lot of them that went over there and studied, though. Like, seriously. It was a one brother, I'm not going to say his name, but we used to take knowledge from him. He's a Jamaican, and he's locked up now. And this brother, like, once I had to, like, argue with him. I respected him. But he said, because he learned from over there, he believed that the Arabs were superior. That's what he was taught in his university. And he'll say things like, well, based on, like, the Arab language and this and that. I'm like, but that's not what the Quran say. Like, Allah say the best of you are those in taqwa. And then, well, that's the case, but if they have the same amount of taqwa, like, he really believed that. Like, they, like, brainwashed him. You can't get me to believe that. You can't get me to believe that. Maybe if you're talking about, like, the Sahaba. Matter of fact, I even heard some Arabs even mention, like that even amongst the Sahaba, they were, like, Najashi was better than some of them, even though he never met the Prophet, for the simple fact that he accepted Islam before a lot of the Sahaba did. You see? But like, he really believed that. And then, so, like, when you get people like Shadid Muhammad speaking, automatically, if you speak like that, they're going to call you a black nationalist. He's a,
I wish a biscuit would. I wish a biscuit would. Yes, I am a black nationalist. Now what? Now what?
They call me that. Things like, you black animal. Not to my face, of course. You know, you black animal. You know why?
Yes, I'm a black nationalist. Right? I'm here trying to protect my people from you. Okay. Yes. You better believe that. We have experience with y'all. Do we see what you guys are doing?
Yeah, bro. You can't go over to, you know, Medina University, Ibn Saud University. You can't come back and then you forget about your own people, and you know, you can't relate to them anymore, and you're trying to get down. Like, nobody's gonna listen to you, man. Like, you have to speak the language of your people, man. They're not gonna listen to you. You come back, you know, talking English with an Arab accent. What is he doing? Like, they do everything. They're not even, most of them I see, they're not even concerned. I think that's why they came at the brother Tahir. They're not concerned with what goes on in the with our issues. And if Tahir, when he starts speaking to that, that's when they turned on him. Like, they want you to follow a certain path that they laid out. Like, this is how you talk, you know.
And they felt comfortable speaking like that to Tahir. Tahir, the only Westerner to teach in the Haram. They never spoke like that to anybody else who taught in the Haram. But they feel very comfortable speaking to Tahir like that.
And you know, like, when you have an experience like dealing with people, and you've seen people from all types of walks of life, sometimes, you know, alhamdulillah, can become a good judge of character, of like people mannerism. You can spot that. I see the brother Wallahi. I'm not saying that because he's black or because I like him. Every time I see this brother talk, like, and I see like other people talk, like to me it's evident. Like Tahir has way better character or like manners than a lot of these other people out here talk. Like the brother's like displays like good mannerisms, like from like all his talks, even when people disagree with him, you know, he's like very patient and you know, he doesn't become harsh or seems overly offended, this sort of thing. You know, I'm just like, I'm coming at this guy. This is like one of the coolest guys I've seen give speeches.
Yeah. Yep. But now they have a Feachaz to deal with. You know, they could have dealt with Tahir a different way, but now there's somebody dealing with them in a different way now, and they're shocked. They're shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like we over here, we don't bend. You know, we don't bend for them at all. We do what is good for, and what is in the best interest of our people, and they hate that, bro. You know
and I don't think they realize it's a lot of people like you. They have a platform, so you know, and so we was like, you know, sort of silent because you know a lot of people didn't have a platform, but it's a lot of people that think like you, and I don't think they accustomed to running into those sort of people. I think that's
not. What they're used to. They're used to is some Negro running up to them. Yeah, we're all brothers, and let's all be brothers, and no racism in Islam, and brother, and can we be brothers? And that's what they used to. But they're not used to people putting a mirror in front of their friggin' faces. Like, how dare you? How dare you tell us that we can't organize for ourselves while you're having a Bangladeshi bazaar or a Pakistani bazaar or whatever? You know what I mean? Or Egyptian bazaar. How dare you tell us we can't do it? How dare you, all the way from whatever country you're from, tell us that we cannot reach out to the nation, our own people, our own relatives? Who are you? And then you send people, black-looking people, to try to credit what we are doing. Do you know there's a new day coming?
Right.
Do you know that there's a new day coming?
Because like you said, like none of the Muslims I know, nobody believes that Fard is Allah or Elijah was a messenger. We disagree with all that. But if you like say something good about the nation, they get offended. Like you say they do good work in the community, telling people to stop the violence, stay away from drugs. I agree with a lot of what they say about, you know, as it pertains to, you know, like the U.S. government and politics. If you say anything like that, they still act like somehow like you support their religious ideology.
Yeah, I wish a biscuit would. Like they tried that already so many times here. We had one troll. We roasted that troll good and proper, man, because we caught him live. You know, trying to say, oh, nation support or whatever, right? We had some brothers here. Oh, you talking too much like Farrakhan. I'm leaving this channel. And I was like, bye, Felicia.
Exactly.
Like, bye, Felicia. Look, who you like? We're not talking to you. I'm talking to family. I mean, you are here because you speak the English language, right? And you're interested in the topics we're talking about. Is fine, right? But don't come in here and try to dictate to us how we are going to talk to our own people. Do I go and try to learn Urdu to try to tell you how to make chapati and stuff? I don't do that. You're rude. I'm sorry to say, you're rude. You know what I mean?
It's like being a guest to somebody's house.
You are a guest here.
Then you get involved in their
manners. Have some manners. We have some very serious issues in the black. Are you coming to the black community to help us with our issues? Then just be quiet.
But one thing I noticed, and another thing I noticed about them, they have a lot of smoke about, like, some of them about like politics and, you know, critiquing the American society. But when it's some benefit for their people, they're all aboard.
Yeah,
they're all aboard. We're Americans and we're this, and you know, I don't know if they know how stupid they look. Like most of the people like when they come to America, when they say you a citizen, like most of the people, bro, we look at you like you a citizen on paper. Like you're not a person of the land. You're not a real person, a real like people from the land, you would say, historically. Yeah. The government just gave you a piece of paper and legally you're a citizen. Even the Europeans, when they see you, they don't see you as a real American.
That's why you
believe that. I hear them saying even in the UK, I'm an Englishman. I was born and raised in the UK. Bro, you know you're not. You are where your people from. That's what you. If you a Paki, that's what you are, or somewhere from the Indian subcontinent. That's how people see you. No matter what the status the government gave you. So it's like, I find that like it's like an insult when they get involved and you should be doing this, speaking on our issues. That's like me going to like some of my friends' homes and they family have an argument. It's not for me to get involved. Matter of fact, I'm gonna leave. They don't even have to tell me to leave.
Yeah.
If I go to some of my family house and they have a dispute with their brother, their fathers, bro, I'm just gonna leave. It's not for me to get involved or put my 2 cents in your issue.
Yeah, when these brothers are raising money for Syria or Palestine, Black people not only are we raising money with them, but we are in the front lines before anybody, raising money for them, for Palestine, for Uyghurs, for Syria. We are the first people. Let us have something for ourselves now. Here come the Muslims. Why don't you talk about all the Muslims? Why don't you include all the Muslims? When have you ever included us?
Yeah, focus on your issue. If you want to talk about something, focus on in the Black community how your people are making haram money, selling swine in our community, selling alcohol. Talk about that. And you still take the money when they donate to your local cultural centers. You still accept their money. Focus on that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So we have so many problems, in the Black community. All this social engineering going on. You know what I mean? All this crime and, the entertainment industry is horrifically weaponized against us. We can't find a good image of a Black person anywhere. You know what I'm saying? We have the prison industrial complex. We have the war on drugs, crack epidemic, fatherless homes, mass incarceration, all these things going on, police brutality, you name it, no capital, we have no wealth, no capital.
Low marriage rates.
Yeah, low marriage rates, underserved in terms of taxation without representation. You know what I mean? Like our schools do not get any resources from the same government that claims that we are included. But you're out here telling us when the government invites you to be model minorities, so to make us look bad, you're telling us, well, why don't you include all the Muslims and stuff like that, man? Like, come on, man. Like be real. Those days are done. They're done.
Or they'll criticize us. You work with these people, they're not Muslims, or they're not on the, they're not from Salafia. They're people a bit like,
yeah, no problem. How many Muslims gave you your visa to come to the country, man?
Exactly. What I want to ask them, when did Allah prevent us from working with anybody if it's for the good?
Yeah.
They might have their intentions, but we got our intentions.
We got our intentions. You do you.
When did that become haram? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You say we got all these problems.
You've been doing you anyways.
These brothers even criticize the brother Waradeen. Now, if you know anything about Waradeen Muhammad, when he gets his own father ideology and came into mainstream Islam.
Yeah.
And many people from our community became Muslim because of that. They left the nation and followed him.
Yeah, the largest mass conversion, right? Probably in Islamic history.
Exactly.
Let alone Western history. The largest mass conversion took place with Waradeen Muhammad. And they still had smoke for him.
Still had smoke for him and wanted you to criticize certain things.
Even though, of course, he's going to have mistakes. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They won't help develop, but they will criticize. And they order us to criticize.
Of course he's going to have mistakes. But they look up to sheikhs like Ibn Taymiyyah. He had mistakes. Who's not going to have mistakes besides Rasulullah? Nobody knows everything except for Rasulullah. He understood the religion the best, and probably maybe Isa alayhi salam when he returns. Like who's gonna know everything? The Sahaba made mistakes, but that's what I mean. They're like so harsh, you know. It's either this or that. You got, he's a deviant of this. He wasn't on the right way. He didn't have the right this, bro. He say like many people, inshallah, many people would say we have people that was 3rd, 4th generation Muslims because of the blessings and the insight that Allah gave him. This man stood up to his own father. How many of them do that?
Yeah.
I saw Waterdeen personally say that he told his father, I don't believe that Father is Allah. Yeah. He's a man. And then he said he asked his mother, and his father got mad and kicked him out of the house. And he said he asked his mother, did Fard ever tell y'all he was Allah? No, I never heard him say that. And he said, my mother met Fard before Elijah did. She introduced Elijah to him. He went against his own father. How many of them gonna do that in their countries? But they got smoke for him because he made some mistakes. May Allah have mercy on Waterdeen.
Amen.
But it was a good conversation, Aki. This needed. I was waiting for years for someone to get a nice platform, speak out, and reflect the real views of us. As you call it, the grassroots. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm sure they're not accustomed to so-called black speaking like this. They meet us from the West, and it's people that just want to go along and don't make waves.
Go along to get along, gang. And we have no shortage of Negroes like that. It's a part of our history.
Yeah, very, very pliable people from us who they've been dealing with. Even the Africans, they probably don't put up much those they encounter. So they can just. Like, it's different people in the West. They need to understand that. We're a little different, Aki.
Yeah. We have strong concern for our people, right? And we are pretty much saying, like, look, we're thanks, but no thanks. We tried, we done, cleaned your toilets, vacuumed your masjid floors, wash your floors, whatever, done your security. Organize your Hajj and Ummah groups and all that kind of stuff. We did everything we could, and we got absolutely nothing to show for it.
Yeah, they had
except for the propping up now of the most house Negroes in thobes and beards to put in front of on the minbar to control us. Right?
They even flipped on the brother. What's his name? Siraj. Yeah, and they only call him basically when they want to raise some money or something. And I heard the brother, they had a lot of smoke for him when he met with the NOI. And he said he was there giving them Dawa. And he said out his own mouth, many of them he's spoken to, they don't even believe that. I mean, members of the NOI, they don't even believe in that doctrine. He said many of them praying 5 times a day, and they believe in like we believe.
Yes, that is a fact.
They didn't want to hear none of that, though.
That is a
fact. He
shouldn't
be working with them. He shouldn't be sharing the stage with him. Come on, man.
Yeah, that is a fact. That is a fact. And we mentioned it several times that the nation in Elijah Muhammad time is dead. That there's no more nation like that anymore. The nation today is not that nation. It's a completely different thing. A totally different thing. All right.
Even now, if you look at it, like, bro, like Farrakhan's an old man. Like soon he'll be dead. It's good to establish those sort of relationships. It probably will fall apart. So it's good that some brothers should be giving them Dawa. I have a strong feeling it's gonna fall apart anyway. They kind of like on their leg.
Yeah, when Louis Farrakhan dies, there's gonna be a massive void, right? And I have a strong feeling, like in my opinion, it's probably gonna split into several different groups, right? When Louis Farrakhan dies. Right. So,
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there's another group of the NOI right now, and that goes back to what you say. It's a guy by the Son of Man. He runs it. A lot of them, they don't like Farrakhan.
Yeah, they
so
don't
it goes
like
back to what you said. They believe he betrayed the message of Elijah.
Yeah, and that's a fact. It's a fact, and most Muslims don't know that, but they're very quick. Very quick to instead of doing outreach and trying to call them to Islam, call them Muslim, because you can get a lot of Muslims out of the nation, like so many, because many of them are sincere. Like people who join the nation, why do they join it? Because they're actually sincere. They're concerned about their people and about their community and things like that. So they have good hearts,
right?
And they're looking for some organization so they can put effort in. And the Salafis, we got to make a distinction between the Dawa to Salafiyya and what Salafis are doing. It's the same thing like with Muslims, what Muslims do and what Islam says, right? So the Salafis now, they're not doing much. Like let's just be real. You know what I mean? Sorry to say like that. They're really not doing much. You know what I mean? And we have at least 30 plus years now, maybe more in the West. No, more in the West, I think. In the States, a little bit longer, right? But in Canada, at least 30 plus years, right? Of Dawa to Salafiyya, and there's not much to show for it. So, are you going to blame the Dawa now, or are you going to take accountability for your actions?
Bro, even now, like in the black community, a lot of people that's not Muslim, they don't even know what a Salafi is. They don't even see these people, doing anything in the community.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Like, so for real, like a lot of our people are so ignorant, bro. Like they don't even know the difference between NOI and regular Muslims.
Yep.
Because the Salafis are not out there. The ones that get talking to the people. They just think the Muslims. They think we're like all the same.
And if you have this culture of just showing up when it's time to refute, then nobody's gonna respect you. Like who can respect that? You sound like some old cranky grandma somewhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If it's just about refutation, because the average non-Muslim, he don't want to be there for the refutation. He's not interested in that. He's just trying to learn like what y'all believe and this sort of thing. And what are you doing in the community? Oh, these people really trying to help, Our people kind of respect people like that. That's why the Nation of Islam had gained a certain amount of respect in our community, because they at least seen them trying to do something. Our people are fed up with the church. They know these people are just trying to, take money.
Churches are empty. The churches right now, they don't have men at all.
No men.
Right? Yeah, all the churches, the black churches, is just filled with some old single mothers, right? Some women, you know what I mean? That's it. That's all that's keeping the churches alive right now, right? The masajid, I'm not sure what's going on in the States, but over here in Canada, the masajid are filled with old people. Old people, bro.
Yeah, that's how it is here. Old people or a lot of young women, and the pastor's trying to sleep with all of them.
Yeah, the masajid over here is just old like Egyptians, Pakistanis, Libyans, whatever, right? It's not like the youth are like. It's not like back in the day when we used to go to the masjid, we wanted to go. We were like, that was like our like we were excited to go to the mosque, right? We looked forward to going to the mosque, right? Because we knew we were going to listen to that amazing khutbah. Back in Toronto, that the best khutbahs were done by Abdullah King Quick. Like even up until this day, Abdullah King Quick, he gets some awesome khutbahs, right?
Yeah, right? I love listening to that guy.
Yeah, the khutbahs were relevant. They were dealing with what was going on in society and things of that nature. Now, what's happened in Canada, a lot of these masajid are run by Jamaat Tabligh. And I've never heard a Tablighi give a good khutbah, not once. Okay? As a matter of fact, if you go to a Tablighi mosque or a Tablighi khutbah, it's a chore. It's really a chore. And the majority of khutbahs that we go to nowadays, I'm embarrassed to bring my son to them, because they're like, it's like a chore. It's something that you do because you have to do it culturally. You get it?
That's what I think that's another one of the issues. Like, bro, like when I converted to Islam, I was around like maybe 16, 17. I used to see Arab. No Arab ever gave me Dawa. It was a black man. It was the first person that told me about Islam. You don't really see that too much in our community now. Like people used to be out. They used to be out, you know, and about, like, you know, trying to call people to the Dawa. And I mean, I had a lot of contact. You know, they have stores, stuff like that in our community. You know, they'll joke and BS around with you. Never once mention anything about Islam. So like a actual black man sat down and talked to me at a community center when I was a youth. And that's what started me on my journey to Islam.
Yeah, bro. But now it's like we got to get back to, you know, the grassroots, man. Because
nobody wants to hear that. Like, I don't know, maybe you can reach out to some of your Salafi brothers, man. We don't care about.
Well, really, really,
all these things with Ashari and bro, they
really. It's really if you want to make a change in the community, really, it honestly it starts with your changing yourself first, right? You can't wait for other people. You yourself, you have to be initiated, right? You have to change your thinking, your attitude, the way that you use your time, you know, the way that you speak, you know, all this has to change, and it has to start with yourself first, right? So what we've done with this platform is that we've given the Black grassroots an actual platform for the first time, right? That I know of, right? For Black Muslims, right? You know what I mean? That we're talking about our issues very openly, without any fear or shame, right? And not only that, not only just talking about it, but we are challenging anybody that thinks they want that smoke.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that was really the obstacle. That if you say this stuff, as you mentioned before, you get labeled. Oh, he's a black nationalist. Oh, he's a racist. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. And I'm like, I wish a biscuit would. You know what I mean? Straight up. I wish a biscuit would. And then, because when you challenge us, you better be ready for the smoke that's coming your way. And they're just not ready.
That's what's missing. Like,
trust me, heads are not ready. They are not ready for this. They are not.
I think that's what we're missing, because I like.
You there, Seema? You there, Seema? You still there? Okay, maybe we lost Seema. But family, the main thing that we wanted to discuss today was this type of smashing your own people before even calling them to Allah is backwards. It makes no sense. And as a matter of fact, you make the Dawa weak. You weaken the Dawa by doing that stuff. You know, you need to think before you act. You need to think before you say stuff. You get me? Not everything that you think in your head, it has to be said. Is there going to be a benefit in the long run? Right? What is the perception of not only you, but the people that you align yourself with after you say and do certain things, right? So, but anyways, Jazakallah khair. Thanks for everybody for participating. Please support the channel. Support the channel on PayPal, on Cash App. And we will see you later on this week, inshallah. Subhanallah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
We are the Muslim wing of the black grassroots. Unapologetic, strong, uncompromising voices that have been in the faces of the enemy and those who tap dance for them. The Feachaz is proud to present the archives exclusively on Patreon.